Should you buy it, rent it, learn it, or hire for it? Listen to this episode and find out what I'm talking about. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Berg, speaker, author, sales trainer, website reviewer, here to help you in your wedding and event business sell more, profit more, and have more fun doing it. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I was having a conversation the other day with a client, and he was looking to have something done for his business or learn a skill for his business. And we looked at the different possibilities of this, and you all come across this same thing. I think we all do. So one of his possibilities was to hire somebody to do this for him. And what he was talking about was social media advertising. And he told me how much it was going to cost him. And it was a commitment of 3 months. And it was a commitment of a significant amount of dollars for him. And I say for him because everybody's budget is different. Another possibility was he could take courses to learn how to do this himself. And another possibility is he could try to figure it out, right? Go and look at all the free ways to try to figure something out, or read a book, or watch some videos, or whatever. And we talked about the different possibilities. And I said, well, a couple of things. First of all, if you're looking to do advertising on a platform that you haven't done before, how much business are you trying to get? Because if you're going to try to get 5 more sales and it's going to cost you 2 or 3 of those in the dollars of sales to pay for that, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to give up 3 sales to try to get 5. On the other hand, he was trying to get 30 sales. If you're trying to get 30 sales or 40 sales or 50 sales, well, then giving up 2 or 3 is not unusual. I mean, 3 to get 30 is 10%. That's not a bad investment to try to get that kind of a return. But the thing that I brought up to him was time. How fast do you want the result? If you hire somebody, you're going to get the result faster. That's why you're hiring a professional. After all, that's why people hire you, right? They can figure out how to do it themselves, but they don't want to. They hire a professional. So I said, if you want to get the results faster, you're paying someone, and the business that you theoretically can bring in, because again, we never know with anything that we do, but we have to try it and invest to find out, right? Failure just means you didn't try, right? That's the failure, is you didn't try. The other failure is you tried, you didn't get the result you want. But if you never tried, you're already failed. I would rather give it a shot because I could succeed. And if it doesn't give me the results I want, well, is that a failure? Maybe. Sometimes it's a success, just not the one you're looking for. And sometimes it's just a different result. Not a failure, just a different result. So I said, if you want to get the result faster, then you should probably make the investment. Or make the investment in learning how to do it. You know, the old saying, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. And if you teach him to fish, you feed him for life. I said, if you learn how to do the skill yourself, it'll take you a little bit more time, but then that skill is a skill that carries you forward and you can continue to use that. Or you could try to figure it out and stumble along the way, and it's just going to take you longer to get the kind of results that you could get. So the investment, right, the investment of his time to learn how to do it still might not return on the results that he would if he learned from a professional or had a professional do it. So when you're looking at any particular investment, you usually have different options. You could, let's say, buy something or rent something. I run into this all the time with myself. I'm a DIY guy. I do a lot of, fix-it things around the house, and I love woodworking and stuff. And I was working with a rental company, and they have tools as well as tents and, party stuff. And I said, your rental for tools, you have 4 different customers. You have professionals that come in, rent tools, they know how to use them, and that's it. They know what they need, and they go. You have professionals that come in and rent a tool they've never used before, and they might need some help with learning how to use it. So don't assume that if they're renting it and they're a professional, that they know how to use that tool. They just might not need it that often. That's why they don't own it. Then you have DIY people and people like me that know what they're doing, and I might know how to use a tool, but I just don't have it. And I decide whether to buy or rent something based upon how often I'll need it. Like if I was getting a floor sander, I wouldn't need that very often, so I would rent it, and I would always rent a, hopefully well-maintained tool from someone and then give it back and let them rent it to somebody else because it's just going to sit in my garage. But saws and drills and all the other tools I have in my garage, I use them often enough that it pays to buy them and buy good ones. Their fourth customer is the DIY customer that doesn't know what they're doing. Probably watching some DIY show on HGTV and like, hey, I could do that. And that's where you see all those disaster shows there. So understand those different customers. A customer like me, buy versus rent. When I go to a store, I look and see how often I'm going to use this. How important is this decision to me, buy versus rent? Same thing for you on another podcast I have. It was, sell it before you buy it. And it's also in one of my books, Wisdom in the Business of Weddings. If you are thinking about adding something to your business, maybe sell it to customers whose weddings are 6 months, 9 months, a year away. And then if they're buying it, buy that thing before you need it, but don't buy it and then have it sitting on the shelf and then find out that your customers don't want it. So sell it, buy it, rent it, learn it, hire someone. Think about your time. Think about the investment. Think about how long you're going to need that. Think about how soon you want the results on something. But please don't just look at the dollars. His initial reaction to me, my customer, was, wow, this is a lot of money. Well, compared to what? Compared to the results that you might get from it? No. Compared to learning how to do it yourself, for free with videos and maybe buy a book, something like that? Yeah, it's a lot more money. But expensive means you don't get the return. Of course, you have to be willing to make the investment, but expensive just means that you don't get the return. So when you're presented with an opportunity, don't say, gee, that's expensive. Say, yeah, that's a lot of money, but what's the potential return? Does it get me to the results that I want faster? And if that's the case, then that investment, if you can, let's say, pay for that investment, this is what I said to him, if you can make enough sales in those 3 months to pay for that investment with that professional, and they've then shown you how to do this so that you can continue to do it, it doesn't sound like a bad investment to me, again, if you're willing to put that money on the line. So I hope this gave you something to think about. If you have any particular questions on this, please send them to me directly. I'd love to hear from you and love to hear more topics. But this one, as most of my topics, comes from discussions I have with folks just like you. So please keep asking the questions, and I keep coming up with topics. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. Full transcripts of this and every episode are available on my website at alanberg.com. And if you have any questions about anything in this episode or any of the episodes, or you'd like to make a suggestion for a future topic or a guest for one of my dialogue episodes, you can email me directly at alan@weddingbusinesssolutions.com. Please subscribe to this channel, post a review if your platform allows it, and if you don't get email updates of the latest episodes, as well as upcoming workshops and masterclasses that I have, you can join at connectwithalanberg.com. I look forward to seeing you on a future episode. Thanks.